So welcome to Eat Theatre, Sleep, Repeat with the Grand Theatre Blackpool. And, another great load of guests for us on this vodcast. And I'm delighted to welcome onto the show, two international dance artists, director, choreographers, the full works. They are Wayne Sleep and Vincent Simone. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. And today, as we're recording this is International Dance Day. So, this is a day to celebrate all things dance. First of all, I'm going to come to you, Wayne, first. What does dance mean to you?
Well, I don't think without dance, I'd really sort of feel I'm living properly. I mean, I've danced every day of my life since I was about 4 or 5 years old. And it just brings joy to audiences, and that brings joy to me, the reaction. And I've danced all over the world. I've danced with ballet companies. I've danced in musicals like Cats and Cabaret, the musical. And I've danced with London Contemporary Dance. So I've done jazz, tap, ballet, and contemporary. And I'm very lucky to have been able to do 4 disciplines at the same level. Because I was very small, I was desperate to do more in the theatre because I only could do certain roles in the classical ballet world. But then I had choreographers who choreographed for me. And I danced with some of the greatest dancers in the world. Rudolph Nureyev and Margot Fontaine were 2 that I danced for 12 years on tour all over America. I've seen the world. It's opened doors that would have never been open to me had I stayed at the West Hartlepool Tech. But I want to, well, I might have been rich. I might have got a good job. But it's just great to entertain as well. I just feel that I'm at home much more on the stage than I am in my own house.
Wow. And Vincent, the same question to you. What does dance mean to you?
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree anymore. I mean, dance is life, isn't it? I'm lost without it. And I realized a couple of times, the first time when I had a little injury in my back and I couldn't dance for a month and a half, 2 months. It's the worst thing that can happen to a dancer. And also through the pandemic, I missed my audience. I missed my people, my lovely female audience, all standing ovulating in front of me. I miss it so much. So it's definitely what I love the most in my life. Like Wayne said, I've been quite blessed because when people say, why did you choose to dance? I always say it's not I choose to dance. It's like dance chose me. I come from a little town from south of Italy. And I remember the day when my parents said, Vincent, would you like to do some ballroom Latin? And I said, no, definitely not. It was only thanks to my cousin that he said, oh, there's pretty girls at the dance studio. And that was only 8. Considering that 8 years old in Italy, that's old when you start thinking about girls. But that's what got me involved in the first place. And I did really, really well. I have to be honest. I've been blessed. I've been champions, Italian champion, UK champion, world champion. I've been involved with the biggest dance TV show in the world, strictly for many years. I've been able to be involved into the West End. I've done the Aldwych, the Phoenix Theatre, and loads of touring for years on end. Yes, I can't live without it. Still now.
Yeah. And Wayne, do you think dance is getting more popular because of shows like Strictly? You've got it's more of a family that the parents are watching it and potentially thinking, you know what, we'll take this up ourselves. And then also you've got the kids as well looking at it, getting inspired. Do you think it's getting more popular than ever?
I mean, Strictly is a lot to do with it, of course. I mean, because it's the #1 show on television, basically. And it makes the whole family watch because it's a competition as well. That draws the whole family in because I bet they all vote who they think at home and probably argue about it together. And that is a wonderful thing. And they've incorporated a bit more contemporary now, a bit more musical theatre into Strictly, it's not just ballroom anymore, and it has a different theme every week. So that's great. But also, more boys are taking part anyway. When I was a boy at the Royal Ballet School, I won a scholarship out of 300 other children. And I left the Northeast. I was born in Plymouth, but I left the Northeast when I was 12 years old to leave the West Hartlepool Tech. And I went to live in Queen Victoria's hunting lodge in the middle of Richmond Park. I don't know what had hit me. But, it was just ballet, ballet, ballet. And we saw everything at Covent Garden. But what I'm going to say is that there were 5 boys to 25 girls in each class. Now it's 50% boys and 50% girls. It's equal. And the training for the boys now has surpassed anything. It's as good as the girls, if not better. And we are seeing greater boys coming up than girls now, which it was a girl's world when I was a kid. And I'm so thrilled that it's now 50% each way, and the connotations of you being a puff or something to be a male dancer has all gone down the Swanee, because they realize the physical effort that goes into it. It's almost like Olympic, the muscle tone and everything else. And I think people are just getting more educated into it. And the choreography is getting better. And as you said, more on television. It's fantastic what's happening.
And when you're directing or choreographing, Wayne, as well, is it easier for you when it's not, 50 girls and 1 boy? Is it easier now that you've got this more talent pool to choose from?
Well, whoever I've got, I use. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But yes, I think that for pas de deux work, of course, you need the boy. And there were very few of them to choose from. And it wasn't until you got to a ballet company that you had enough boys with the girls. But choreographically, I just think the music's getting more used. And quite frankly, when I was young, if you did ballet, you only did ballet. If you would never use jazz music in a ballet piece. But now you can bring that in. When I was working with Freddie Mercury, I was trying to get him to compose things at the Opera House, and no doubt he would have done a ballet by now if he was alive. Yeah. And we were aiming towards that, and to open doors, to make bridges, to bring everybody together. And I was sort of not considered a very sort of elegant person when I went to do Cats in the West End, when Andrew Lloyd Webber asked me to create the role of Mr. Mistopheles. I went into the West End, and a lot of people at the Opera House said, "Oh, he's gone commercial, don't speak to him." And that was rather sad. But I think it's better now. I think Darcy Bustle is not called that, even if she does Strictly things. I think I was the first to do it. About 40 years ago. So it was not the right thing to do. And if we had opened doors, people like Matthew Bourne would have found it harder at the beginning, probably, although of course he would have succeeded. He's great. But I just forced a way to bring things from outside. And I was the first dancer, along with Lynn Seymour, who was the principal dancer, to ever guest with a contemporary dance company, which was the London Contemporary Dance Company. And because we were pioneers, really. And so, yeah, I mean, I just so glad that anything goes now.
And Vincent, what about Wayne for you? Was he an inspiration, as you were going through your dance career?
I wasn't born. Yeah, he is, because when I moved to this country, quickly had to learn and educate myself of, the top dancers, the top professionals, the top teachers. I remember Come Dancing was on TV, and that was all new to me. I was only like 15 years old. So that was really refreshing in a way. I know about Wayne. I think he's a superstar. Who doesn't know about him? And, he's the only man that I can actually look in the eyes when I talk to, because I'm really short myself. I'm only 5'2" plus VAT. Unfortunately, I'm not. I've been fortunate in a way, because when I was joining my dance class, I was, one of the only few little boys because, yes, I'm not gay. My boyfriend is, but I'm not. So it was actually quite nice for me to join the class. But yeah, Wayne is a superstar. Everybody knows about. I was actually talking about Wayne the other day when I meet people from the West End, and all they can say is, your beautiful jumps that you used to make.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
I used to spin very fast and jump very high because what happened was I stopped growing, like you said about the height, and and it is still a very disciplined look you have to have as a classical dancer. You have to be at least 5'7" as a boy, and I'm only 5'2". So when I stopped growing, I was devastated. These are things I'm going to talk about when I come to Blackpool and do my evening with Wayne Sleep. I'm going to talk about stopping growing, thinking the world was over. What was I going to do? And I tell you how I surmounted that. And I had to turn every negative into a plus. And I was going to take these pills to make me grow. It's hormones. And they have it now, and it works very well. But when I was going to take it, it was very risky. You could break your bones. All sorts of things could happen to you. And so the leader of the Royal Ballet, who founded it, we call Madam David Devour, she says, "What's this I hear about you taking a pill, Steve? You're just going to have to turn twice as fast as everybody else and jump twice as high." So I did.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, Wayne, did that, your height, and I suppose the issue that you didn't get to say 5'7" and that perfect height, but did that make you? Do you think that's made you? I think if you got to 5'7", do you think you'd be in the place you were now, or because you had all of those obstacles that you are where you are now because of that?
Well, I always really wanted to be a musical dance man. I wanted to be Fred Astaire or Gene Kelly, and I've never done ballet. So, being in ballet, I would have succeeded more to do more roles like the Prince in Swan Lake and Romeo and Juliet. I couldn't ever do those roles. And a lot of ballets I couldn't be in because the boys had to all be the same height. And if it dipped in the middle, it'll be a comedy, which they didn't want. But I wouldn't have had time to go out and get my acting lessons so I could appear in films with Sean Connery. I wouldn't have had time to go to the place to contemporary dance. I had a lot of time. I would have had time to go to learn jazz at the dance centre at Pineapple. So I may not have done as much in the outreach outside the classical ballet world. So I think it would have changed slightly because I would have been driven by just classical ballet more.
Yeah. And Vincent, what about you in Italy? As Wayne was saying that, boys at the time, it was obviously not really seen them to go to dance. It was football, it was rugby, it was, all that. In Italy, what about, I'm talking about now, it has like England and Britain, the attitudes have changed. In Italy, is it the same? Have the attitudes changed? Are you seeing, more boys getting into dancing and kind of the talent coming through more?
Well, in a way, I was lucky that I was made in Italy. I have to be honest, because Italy, dancing is very popular. Like all my aunties, my uncles, they're self-taught. And the way my uncle was dancing with 3 women at the same time, I remember watching him. It was unbelievable. So the tango music, the Latin music has always been surrounding my life, my youth. So it wasn't too much of a, like it would have been here in England, because people are more reserved. In Italy, you go to holiday resorts in the summer and you can hear beautiful waltz playing or a tango or a rumba. So it wasn't too much. It's just because, like you said, boys at school, they ruin, your thoughts when you say, "Oh, I'm doing some ballroom dancing." It was more like that to process than the actual dancing. Because once I started, I was okay with it. And actually at school, all my friends were proud that I was winning competition. I used to bring these massive trophies in my classroom on a Monday morning and say, "Look what I won yesterday. I won the Italian championship. I'm the best in Italy." Won. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that. And also it's more social, more of a social dance ballroom.
Yes.
It's a lot of people when they went out would go and do a tango or something. That was a natural thing rather than a discotheque.
Yes.
And I remember that I used to appear on Domenica Inn, and I used to be with People Baldo, and I used to do shows in Italy long after all the shows had stopped on television in this country.
Oh my
There
God.
used to be tons of variety shows, and I used to do a show called Sotto le Stelle, which is Under the Stars. You know it?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
that was a variety show. We would have
Oh my
jugglers,
gosh,
singers, dancers, and I used to do a big dance spot. And all the variety shows, like the Morecambe and Wise, they all finished here. So you didn't get the opportunity to dance on television so much.
Yeah, but gosh, I grew up watching you in Italy on my Italian TV. I couldn't believe that.
Wow.
But you say about Morecambe and Wise, I'm doing a current show now with Ian Waite. Now,
Oh,
he's
yes. I know Ian.
5.
Well, I know he's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge, but that's the comedy of it. Like, of course, we do our beautiful dances with our beautiful dance partners, but then we combine the two powers of me and him together, and it's a brilliant show.
Is it? What is it? What is it?
It's called The Ballroom Boys.
Oh, fabulous!
Yeah, it's a comedy / dancing. We've got singers from the West End. It's a beautiful show happening now. Like, I'm on tour today. I'm performing today in Newport.
Lovely. I've danced with him actually, and we did a spoof. He came on with a girl across the stage, then he came on with another girl, and then he came on with me as the joke. It was because he's 6 foot. So
what about Blackpool, Wayne?
Blackpool,
I mean,
well,
the Mecca.
It's the heart of entertainment. It always has been traditionally. I mean, if you were the best comedian or the best performer, you'd always get the top spot, which was Blackpool, to do 20 weeks in the summer. We used to come and see the lights, of course, in the autumn, all the way from Plymouth. We drive up. But I'm coming there to the ballroom to actually judge a dance competition in early May. I'm doing the freestyle, and I'll be judging that. And it's a world championship held over 2 or 3 days. And then I come up with the International Dance Teachers Association in July to judge the children in their different classes, tap, jazz, ballet, or tap. I don't know which one I'm doing yet, but so it's the Mecca. It's the center for everything. The center for exams to be held. It's the center for ballroom championships. And look at that iconic ballroom. I don't think you can get much better in the world. I don't know what you think, but have you performed in the Blackpool Tower? You must have.
Yes. Too many times almost. Like from a ballroom perspective, if you can make it in Blackpool, if you win, if you make even semi-final in Blackpool, it's amazing.
Gives you kudos.
Blackpool Tower, the Winter Garden, that's where they host the biggest ballroom competitions. So like you said, that is the center of dancing, and performing there is a privilege almost. I've been there privately when I had to do my competitions. I've been invited to perform to big competition like the World Championships, and then being there with Strictly Come Dancing, where they actually make it like looking like a fairy tale almost. So yes, I've done Blackpool many times.
But why Wayne? Why Blackpool? Why is Blackpool the Mecca? I mean, is it the springy floor of the ballroom? Why is that?
It was built, that ballroom was built independently of anything else when they built the Blackpool Tower, but it was there for entertainment, really, in the first place, so that people could have a wonderful night out and do a waltz together around this wonderful floor with the Wurlitzer coming up from under the ground. But I think it's because it was made as a holiday resort. I mean, that long stretch of beach on the front, those piers you've got, it was built as a place to come for the summer holidays, and everybody flocked to it. So when you've got the summer holidays, you need entertainment. So they had to have theatres to entertain. So they've got all these places you could go. I was at the Grand Theatre one year. I did pantomime there. And I love the Grand because it's a Matcham theatre, I think. It's very old and it's ornate. And, people, councils, not maybe Blackpool, but some other places, they're threatened to be pulled down sometimes, and we have to fight to save them because they want the space for a car park or something. And so I'm so thrilled that the ground's still there. And I think the Blackpool people know why they're popular, and they don't want to get rid of any of that history. So I'm thrilled that that's still there and it's been able to keep its place, whereas other places maybe have been pulled down.
Yeah, well, like you say, I know the sort of month of May, it very much is a dance town. Even today, last weekend, there's so many dancers from all over the world that come and represent what they do, all in all the venues in Blackpool, which is amazing. And coming to the Grand Theatre, you've got the Ballet Theatre UK, Beauty and the Beast. That's on the 14th of October. You've got Classical Ballet and Opera House doing Sleeping Beauty on the 20th of November. Next year, you've got the Tap Factory, and I think Giovanni's coming next year as well. But talking about...
When am I coming?
Yeah, you're coming, I think, very soon, Wayne, with your evening with Wayne Sleep. But we'll come to you in a minute, Wayne. I want to talk to Vincent on Tango Passions, which is, I know you're in a show now, but Tango Passion, which is coming on Sunday, the 16th of October. Tell us all about that.
Well, tango, in my opinion, is the most beautiful, passionate dance that people, can even think about. I was blessed to be, myself and Flavia, to be the very first couple to perform Argentine tango live on TV in the UK and Ireland. And we almost became the face of the tango because of that, because luckily the producer from Strictly loved us so much, well, especially me, obviously, that she always wanted to perform constantly every weekend. So yes, I've done shows with Flavia, as we know. I've done Midnight Tango, sellout show for 3 years. I've done The Last Tango and lot more. So I think it's time. The world is screaming for another tango show. So I thought I will come out with another beautiful show called Tango Passions, like you said. I have already amazing dancers involved from Argentina, from all over the world. I've got this amazing girl called Paula Duarte, and she's got legs, Wayne, you will love her legs. She's done ballet for 20 years, and contemporary, and then the tango, the combination between contemporary and tango and ballet. Oh, it's beautiful. So I literally disappear, not between the legs.
I want to see it.
Behind the leg.
You got me hooked.
Yes. So I have loads of ideas. Like, because I'm currently on tour now with Ian Waite with the Ballroom Boys. Yes. I'm just gonna get this show out of the way. I've got another 2 months to do of this until the end, beginning of July.
Yes.
And then I will concentrate throughout the summer to come up with these, which I'm sure will be amazing, because I know the dancers. I trust the dancers. I trust myself. The dancing will be spectacular. So
do you choreograph it yourself, or do you have people to help?
Well, usually the big shows I've done in the West End, we used Karen Bruce and Arlene Phillips to help us out with as a directors. I always choreograph my dancing with Flavia, my solos.
Yes.
I think that has to come within my heart. I need to feel that dance.
Yes.
So this dance in particular, this show, the Tango Passions, I will probably choreograph the whole show, and obviously the couples, if I give them a spotlight of doing their own things, I will let them do them.
Good.
So all I need is a director.
Yes.
I need a director to
putting
direct
it together, pushing the pieces, the jigsaw puzzle. Yes.
Yeah.
So are you touting for Wayne
why not?
Why not?
Why not? I mean, we share the same passion.
Yes. And I'm quite good at comedy, you see. A lot of people are not very good at comedy when it comes to choreography, and that was my penchant. I'll be doing my Charlie Chaplin up in Blackpool in my show, and I do a big tap number as well. And they're both quite funny, because I like to bring comedy into it, just a little bit of glint of humour. And that's what I'm sort of known for. But I think my first thing I was known for was doing an imitation of Torval and Dean.
Yeah.
Yes, and sports stuff as well. But it just went that way. So if you need a bit of that, let me know.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. We
Yeah.
could have an exclusive of a team up here. Literally,
Yeah.
Wayne being
Why not?
hired on this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wayne, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the performing, the directing, the choreography? What do you prefer?
I prefer the performing, quite frankly. You know, I've still got a lot of moves I can do, and luckily, and you know, people seem to write you off at my age, but I've still got a lot to give, and that's why I'm doing this show, not just to explain all about my career and film I've been in. And as I was saying before, I worked with Angela Lansbury. I choreographed her actually in a film called Death on the Nile, where I had to choreograph Peter Ustinov, Mia Farrow, Olivia Hussey. Maggie Smith wasn't it. She had to sit at the back, you know, of the ballroom on the ship. And I became very good friends with Angela Lansbury, and it was wonderful to be able to reach out. And again, that was a comedy choreography piece, but I do prefer performing, quite frankly. And I go back occasionally now and show dancers from the Royal Ballet how to project what the steps could mean. They've got to make it theirs, not just do the steps and just do the variation. They've got to bring a bit of themselves into it. And if there's a storyline, I help them with that to act in the parts. But obviously, I was meant to perform, and I'll probably go on till I drop.
Yeah.
Same
And
here.
for you, Vincent, is that the same as well? Obviously, the performance, but you are very much getting into now shows and choreography and producing and stuff.
Yeah, like you know, when the day me and Flavia decided to leave Strictly, it was a hard decision in a way, because that show made us, you know, popular to the you know, to the pedestrians on what I used to live Guildford High Street. It was amazing how the reception I used to get from the big show. So there was always a part of me. I mean, Flavia was more sure than me, but there was always a part of me say, "Have I done the right thing, living Strictly?"
Yeah.
Luckily, like I said, I had the producer Adam Spiegel, big West End producer, which gave us the opportunity to be, you know, showcase ourselves in theatre shows. But there's always been that question, and luckily, Strictly called me back to choreograph the Argentine tangos for the couples. So I've done that for 3 years, and that was amazing for me, because the day I walked into the studio with the couple, the celebrity and the professional, and I was teaching them, I was only allowed to teach them for 8 hours. But that's what made me realize that definitely it's a really hard life. And I'm glad I left, because after teaching them, I was so gladly happy to get into my car and go back to my hotel and live my life. It's a very intensive show. You need to have the right mind, you know, right soul. You need to be single, you need to be young, you need to be strong. It's very consuming. And, you know, I've done it, and I'm glad and I'm proud of myself. But yes, I'm glad I'm, you know, not in it anymore, in a way.
Do you find that, Wayne? TV shows, I mean, you've done hundreds and hundreds, as you said before. Do you find that TV's very intense in the creative world that you're in?
Well, TV is very different to choreograph for. It's not like the open stage. It's much more subtle. You have to be very aware of your camera angles, because if they shoot from below, it widens your body. Oh, no, sorry. If they shoot from above, it widens your body. If they shoot from it below, your legs look longer. And if they track with you, it doesn't look as if you're moving off the spot. You have to keep the camera back and let you see your big touring round the stage. And there's a lot of different things apply. You have to keep within the frame. You have to stop before you fall out. You know, there's a lot of technical side that people don't see that you have to be very aware of. And I saw Torval and Dean had used a drone. Was it? Yes, it was Torval and Dean. They used a drone, and it went through their legs with a camera on it, which was fantastic. There's so much more you can do with television and film, but you've got to know the animal you're with. And it's totally different than choreographing for live TV. But I prefer live because I prefer to hear the audience's reaction.
Yeah.
You know, if there's nothing like it, and the buzz you get for it. When I danced with Princess Diana, she wrote me a letter that night after we performed on stage together. We did a 3-minute number together at the Opera House. Her husband nearly fell out of the box, but because he wasn't aware, but it was all in good fun. But she wrote to me after, she said, now I can understand the buzz you get from performing, because she never performed live and she always wanted to. So I gave her that little present for Christmas, you know, when she asked me if I would choreograph for her. And she came off exhilarated, you know, from 8 curtain calls we had. And she wanted to do it again, but said, no, keep the wanting more.
Yeah. I can imagine her being a very good dancer, you know, his
Yes,
stature.
she was. Yeah. Very long legs.
Yeah.
You know, too tall for me, a bit like Ian Waite. But she had, when she asked to see me, I'd never met her before. And I went along, she was in a leotard, pink tights, jazz shoes, ankle warmers, and a headband. And I said, wow, you look the part. I wonder if she was the part. And she said, I want to dance with you. And I thought, no way, you're far too tall for me. And then she said, and then I said to her, do you mind if I sit down? I've had a rather late night, ma'am. And she went, you naughty boy, and giggled. And then we became good friends. And I knew that we could put a bit, see, humor again. You know, we did a challenge thing. I mean, I would do a pirouette. She'd push me down, kick over my head and walk away, you know,
Wow.
sort of like saying, how's that? And we did it in that vein. So we got away with the height difference, you see. And so, but when she wrote that afterwards, I realized why she wanted to do it, because she'd never performed in front of public, which she was always hoping one day she might be a dancer, but it all went the other way.
Yeah. Was that would you say that's a highlight, Wayne? Because that it's hard
Well,
to
of
top
course,
that.
it's one of the highest. I mean, the thing is, it was a 3-minute number to Billy Joel's Uptown Girl. She arranged the music. She knew what she wanted to do. She was all ready for it. She wanted to do it with me because I think, well, I was very popular at the time, I suppose. And I think, well, because every year at the anniversary of her death, it'll happen again this year probably, television companies would come to me and things and say, could you explain the dance you did for us, CBS from America? And I didn't realize it would become so iconic. It was only a little dance, you know, and I've done several of those which haven't lasted. But this memory seems to have caught the public's imagination all over the world. And I think because they loved her so much. And I'm now writing my autobiography, of which I explain a lot of the chats we had together and what she was like. And also I represented, after that, why I do the interviews is because I represent the dance world and what she means to us, and the support she gave to small little companies, independent, with only a few dancers. She'd go along and see them. She was supported my shows, and people don't know those sort of things, you know. So there I am to tell it all.
So, well, you just told us about the autobiography. When are we looking at that coming out, Wayne, for people?
That'll be Christmas or the New Year. It'll be in the New Year.
Fantastic.
I just got my deal with the company, but that's what I do on the show. I'm talking about my career, different parts of it, singing a few songs if I'm lucky, and you know, just doing a little bit, still giving you a bit of what I did before, but I do it with film as well. I've got my mother on breakfast TV saying, well, I didn't like the look of it, really. That stuff. You know, we were ignorant. You know, we had never seen a ballet. Lower working class families, you never do. Whereas in Italy, I think you encompass dance much more.
Yeah.
And Carla Fracci was your great ballerina.
Yes, Carla
and she was known all over the world. And classical ballet began in Italy and France. That's where it began in the 17th century or something.
Well, listen, there's so much to look forward to, Wayne, obviously the evening with, and then obviously the book as well. So, you know, people see the show, they've got that to look forward to as well. The book coming out Christmas and New Year. So get that on the Christmas list, people. That's certainly something for that. So good luck with that, Wayne, and good luck with everything as well with that. And Vincent, you're obviously on the show now, Boring Boys, but obviously coming to Blackpool with Tango Passion. So good luck with that later in the year and everything. Guys, I'm just looking at the time and thinking this is absolutely flown by. So thank you so much.
For me downstairs. We have to.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to take, but honestly, it's been brilliant. It's been great, and that's when you know it's been a good chat. When literally you sort of look at the time and think, "Blimey, is that how long we've taken?" So. Honestly, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and see you again soon, guys.
Thank you. Good luck, Vincent.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Wayne.
Thanks for joining us on Eat, Theatre, Sleep, Repeat.
Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.